Hope you don't mind. I
No.
signed him. Okay. Ozzy and Jeff will connect. Cam, what part of the world are you in?
Greetings, Kevin. I am in Austin right now, but this topic is very interesting to me because I'm always trying to figure out and trying to help a lot of founders figure this out. So I was pumped to join and hear what everyone's thoughts are.
Yeah, well, it's an all swim, so I'm expecting that you're going to share some of your wisdom as well. Yeah, my favorite thing to do with entrepreneurs is to throw them, and it kind of like in a in an Aikido kind of way. Everyone knows that I've studied Aikido for about 27 years, and so today is going to be a community conversation. We have some other webinars that are coming soon. Emma, at some point, I'm going to put you on the spot, and you should show the list. But we'll do that. We'll just keep on going around. PJ,
Hi.
PJ, do you have any musical instruments? Are you going to play for us?
Sorry, no, I'm at co-working today. All my musical instruments are at home. How about you? Looks like you're in the office there, huh?
Yeah, no, I'm in the office. I got all my all my shamanic stuff, like everything from the Red Book, yeah, kind of going off the deep end to some of the other things that are here. So
Hmm.
um what we'll do is we'll kind of have just a random conversation, kind of like PJ, you've seen the old style, you know the old ways. So when it comes up, we'll do that. Let's just keep on going around. Karan, you're Lona's husband, right?
Yes, I am. She told me to say hi. She actually recommended this webinar for me because we just set up a business a couple of months back, and she said it would be pretty insightful to network with people who have been there, done that, or who are in a similar situation, I guess. So yeah, super excited to be here.
Cool. I am getting welcome. First off, I am getting a bunch of messages saying that there's a link that doesn't work. Emma, could you go ahead and put the link? Everyone else was able to get in. So I'm not sure why this one individual that I'd like to have here is there. Emma, could you share the,
Yeah.
let's see, I do not know why. Try it again. Let me just try it again. I'm just going to tell that guy to try it again. Everyone always sends me messages right at the last minute saying, "Hey, hey, hey." So this is not this for those of you all that did some of the old school. Like I think right now the only person that's really experienced old school conversations like this has been PJ. I do expect other people to show up, and we'll keep on having individuals to show up. But the main thing about it is, in all the work that I did with entrepreneurs in Austin over the last, especially over the last 22 years, the most important paradigm, the most important concept, and I'm going to say this again, and it's mainly just to kind of infuse it in, is the most important thing is getting the wisdom of the community to connect people. Now, everyone here should have access. If you're in this call, you're welcome to be in on our community site as well. We don't charge for that. We do have programs that, of course, I want to invite you guys into, and some of you all have actually done some of those programs. But part of the idea is to bring up needs and then or just ask questions. This is not a webinar. This is more of a what I call a community event. I want to do one more shout out since I see Grega is in from Slovenia. So Grega, say hi real quick.
Um, yeah, yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm looking forward to hear some nice thoughts about how to do the first steps into US. So yeah, Kevin,
That's
hi.
perfect. Perfect. Grega was in a program with the Slovenian the AmCham from Slovenia, and then we went after a EU grant together. One of the few grants that I personally had a hand in writing, and it's exciting to see. So, so we got Slovenia in the house. Slovakia is represented as well. Joseph, are you there?
Yeah, hello. How are you?
Good, good, good. Are you here in Austin right now, or are you in Slovenia?
No, I'm in Austin.
All right,
So,
perfect. I know, Emma, just as a reminder, we have a follow-up that's supposed to happen with Joseph sometime soon.
Yep.
So,
Okay.
and then Enrique, who's one of our team members, as well as has his own like 70-person company based out of Mexico. Enrique, say, dile hola a mis amigos aquí.
Will do. Buenos días. Buenos días.
Yarro.
Camera on. There we go.
Good, good, good. Thank you for being here.
Sure.
Cassie, you've got a consulting company. Cassie is also one of our market entry go-to-market coaches, so we'll hear some of her wisdom. Cassie, do you want to shout out the areas that you tend to focus on?
Yeah, guys, forgive me. I'm on the road this week in LA. But I help with fractional C-suite support for startups and founders. So one of the places we kind of accidentally landed in as experts is biotech. So I have a team who's really well versed in that. But we consider ourselves pretty industry agnostic. We don't really do CPG, but Kevin is the master of all experts, so he can tell you where to go, but we would also back him up too and say, if Kevin didn't mention these people, also consider reaching out to these people.
Yeah, well, thank you, Cassie. And part of what happens is TechRange has a small core team that then we have a number of market entry coaches. Even like Cam, one of the things you and I never talked about, and this is open for everyone here, because right now it's like everyone I've had everyone except for Karen, I've had a drink with. Or Candace, I haven't had a drink with. It's interesting. It's mainly people that like are in kind of inside of the big tent, is what we explain. Part of the idea here is there's a wisdom of the crowds concept that I want to take as far as we possibly can. And what I mean by this is the wisdom of the crowds concept is this. It's like if we tap into, well, in olden times here in Austin, back in the year is 2003, there wasn't one investor that really give you the time of day because they'd just gotten burnt, or even worse, in the 90s when I started my first entrepreneurial group here in 97. You know, the city wouldn't give you time of the day. The investors wouldn't give you time of the day. Austin Ventures had locked everything down and they kind of were a pain in the ass. And part of what we learned was we could draw upon each other. Like PJ's got a marketing background, and I'd be like, hey, PJ, I'm screwing up my marketing. Hey, PJ, I'm still screwing up my marketing, by the way. Could you help me out? And 5 minutes of his knowledge in my ventures time, where, and this is true because each one of us has an area of expertise. 5 minutes of someone's time is extremely valuable. It could be worth $10,000 on solving problems. By the way, we're attempting to do this on our community.techranch.com site. If you look into the chat, there's a link on joining the community. You can also go to techranch.com/connect, which is a public URL, but it's hidden. And you can join the community for free. And the idea at the most base level, I just gave a keynote speech about this in Sarajevo. I was there last week. I was telling, like during COVID, as an example, we were doing these kind of calls. Every once in a while, we're going to do this kind of totally, really eclectic type of, raise your hand, throw out a thing that you want, support on. And the answer might not come from the guy at the front of the room. I've studied Aikido for 27 years. I have scars and I had to have surgery for Aikido. I know something about Aikido. That being said, a lot of times the learning on the martial art mat in Aikido is with a person that is right next to you, not the quote unquote expert at the front of the room. And I want to really make sure we're engendering this. So in another 6 weeks, when we do another one of these kind of calls, I'd like to make sure we're all together. Today, we're not going to break out into discussion rooms. In the next iteration of this, as we bring back this practice among us virtually. We used to do it physically in my co-working place years ago. I started Austin's first co-working space, but we gave up the co-working space. We could go even more international. That's carried me to 23 countries over the last 8 years. But the principle about getting expertise and rising it to the top, that's where we want you to bring your expertise and then share that. The specific thing to do is make sure you're in the community, and make sure you pay attention to, there's just one channel that I'm asking that you pay attention to as a community of practice together. It's the # request channel. The request channel is not there for advertising your business. I used to, when I ran Bootstrap Austin, we used to invoke what I called, and this is the rules for what we're going to do in this call. And in just a second, I'm going to switch into having one of you guys say, "Hey, this is the problem set I want to work on." In Fight Club, there are 8 rules, but there's only 2 that you probably ever heard. In Fight Club, the first rule of Fight Club is we don't talk about we don't talk about Fight Club. Second rule of Fight Club, we don't talk about Fight Club. Well, how do those rules translate into Bootstrap Austin? What would happen is myself and a guy by the name of Bajoy Goswami would say, the first rule is we don't talk about ourselves. We don't market to the email list. Now, on the request list in that channel, you can make a request of whatever you need for moving your venture forward. It can be a request for customers. But what we want to stay away from, and I'm sure everyone here has this happen all the time, where you get you get pounded. I get pounded somewhere between 5 to 20 times per day on LinkedIn with people just pounding offers. We don't want to do that, especially when it's 5 times in and from the same person. But if you have something you need, we want you to make a request, because the wisdom of the crowd, or there's also another seminal paper called The Power of Loose Ties, says that we can solve each other's problems really fast. In open source software, we'll see that, a platform like Linux goes through these massive cycles really quickly. And, you have you had what was a hobbyist project that then became something else very quickly. And it was really, really powerful about what happened. The main thing we're wanting to do is that similar type of thing, that similar type of concept. First rule of Fight Club is we don't talk about Fight Club. Second rule of Fight Club, we don't talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Bootstrap Austin that we now use in TechCrunch is, if there's a problem, take it to whoever the problem can be resolved by. One of the things that we learned really well on the 800-person Yahoo group that we had for Bootstrap Austin is, if there's a problem like with Bootstrap Austin, if someone has a problem with Kevin Coyne, instead of dropping your pants in front of all 800 people, just address it to Kevin. And actually, as an example, I'd like to hear if there's a problem that you have with TechCrunch or something like that. If you drop that in front of the request channel of all the people that are there, the attention that people are putting on the problem sets of what you need, they'll take their attention elsewhere, and they won't be there to solve your problems. And so the main thing is, we try to address the problem sets to whoever can handle them. All right, so we have a number of people here. I would actually consider everyone here to be an expert, even if right now I know most everyone here, so I don't think that there's anyone that's right at the very beginning of their entrepreneurial career. But each one of, we have at least 3 angel investors. We have, a guy that's a manufacturing expert for clothing. Hey, Sam. We have, some of our other market entry coaches that have their own businesses in their own right, like Cassie's business. The main thing is I'd like to find out from you guys. The way that we introduce ourselves is, hi, my name's Kevin Coyne, elevator pitch. I help global entrepreneurs access markets to drive impact. And then request. My request is, I'm looking for X. Why don't we switch gears and hear from you guys? We did a little bit of a shout out earlier. Candace, I didn't get you to do a shout out yet. Do you want to start?
Yeah, I'd love to. And I apologize. The only way I could make this work today was to be off camera. Normally I would be on camera. I think that's a better way to meet people, but just not possible today. But thanks for calling on me. So my name is Candace. I'm actually from Toronto. I've been in Austin for the last couple of months, and I'll be here till, I think, mid-December. I work in blockchain, cybersecurity, and social networks, and I designed and launched a system for people to use to create mutual trust if they're going to meet up with someone who they met on the internet, whether that's a DM to book a job or through a WhatsApp group or an actual site designed to meet each other. It's a way to build cumulative and verified trust, but stay as anonymous as you want to. I was invited today by Russ, who has been a great mentor and resource for me since I've been in Austin. So he's always putting me on to like new places to like learn and connect with people. So that's what brought me here today.
Thanks for being here. What's the number one venture? What's the number one request that you have to drive your venture forward? Like, is there anything in the world, like what would change the traction on your venture? Like right now.
Yeah, a really aligned angel investor.
Say more about what type of alignment you want. Be really specific. This is the, like if we had one of those woo-woo teachers, here, like if I don't remember the guy's name, like if Tony Robbins was here, he'd be like, okay, what we want to hear is what exactly do you want?
All right, so let me give you the state of my venture at the moment. So I've worked really hard to launch an app that is live on the App Store. So I would call it an MVP plus. Like it's certainly a go-to-market, a product that's in the market, but we have some things that we need to make it more scalable and improvements to make. But it is live. I have global visibility with ambassadors and visibility everywhere from Dubai. I was in a magazine article to Nigeria, to Mexico, Canada, United States. I have tons of demand from organizations and from other systems who want to integrate, but I keep running out of capital to onboard all the demand, which is like, I guess, a good problem to have. The existential kind of like dissonance is that the VCs who are reading my pitch are like, we believe that this is relevant and scalable, but we want to see the network effects working. So that's where the bridge of like the folks who can see the potential and the scale of what I've created, and then the support to onboard all of that early demand and reach those network effects, and then drive the scalability from there.
So an angel investor that's got a little bit of vision plus would take a risk alongside with you. Do you have revenue numbers already?
No revenue, but partner traction.
What's standing between you and the revenue?
So I'm intentionally launching it with these partners for free, as I can do actual price and appetite for price testing.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So to me, the value is in the network effects. And I think that, starting to charge $1 or $2 would be insignificant, and it would hinder my growth more than the value that the real network effects can accomplish.
Got it. And so you're looking for the patient capital that actually help you lay down like the bigger network, and so you can get to what the the 2 to the N power.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
But that can happen pretty quickly. I believe I can be revenue positive at least within like 2 or 3 months.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Are any of our angels want to like ask some questions? Jeff, I know that you're kind of conservative, but you usually have some of the bruiser kind of questions. Can I put you on the spot to ask questions?
Yeah, no, this is sounds really interesting. Help me through the sales cycle and selling process, Candace. Help me understand who the decision makers are. What are their objections? What do they need to see before you can get to revenue? Because I think Kevin's line of questioning around revenue is a really good one. So I just want to sort of pick up and continue to go with that.
Okay. So when the system's working at scale, it works as a good peer-to-peer system with network effects where users are onboarding other users, and that's how it really scales globally. To kickstart those network effects, who I have demand from like an organizational perspective, I'm partnering with, for example, a gig work staffing agency. So in Toronto, where I'm from, there's a popular model where there's a lot of younger women who are having like these staffing agencies that they're recruiting through Facebook groups and Instagram, managing it all through like WhatsApp groups, and sending people to people's houses and parties and these private events. So there's this like this whole trust cycle that has literally no organizational structure other than like these girls taking jobs through WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups. So I have a friend who has a staffing agency using this model. So they're integrating it into their business flow, where they're using it as a mandatory requirement to join to access the jobs. as well as doing like check-ins, and then also executing payroll and payments through the system as well. And then another opportunity I'm going to be connecting with is like the real estate industry, where there are like real estate associations. So that would be selling into more of an organizational structure and giving them access to their membership. And then they could have a network effect kind of launched from there. And another group who I'm really close with is like independent models and content creators. So people who are using their social media to book work all the time, whether that's photo shoots or that's opportunities or it's dinners or it's parties, people who are really using their magnetic sort of power of social media to book things in person. And I'm a part of a few groups of like organizations that serve these like models and content creators.
Okay, thank you. Maybe taking a step back, help me understand, how does this work? I think I understand what you're trying to do. I'm just trying to understand how you go through mechanically the verification process. And maybe an analogy I'm thinking of is LinkedIn, and maybe that's a really stupid analogy. So help me maybe correct my misunderstanding, but that's sort of where I'm going, is sort of a updated version of LinkedIn.
So fundamentally, it's quite a bit different than that type of platform. This is a system you would use and you'd bring it with you no matter where you're connecting with somebody or connect with people. So if let's say you're chatting with someone on LinkedIn and there's a reason to move forward into an in-person meeting, I, as the person who was using Three of Cups, the name of the app is 3OC, I would send the other person a link and that will expire. So it has to be used by that person. And they'll be driven to join the system, verify elements of their identity, and then we can choose what we want to share back and forth to build enough trust and consent to move forward with the meeting.
So what would be examples of what they would provide?
Right now,
like their date of birth, or
right now we are using zero knowledge identity verification of government IDs, so driver's license and passport. That doesn't get stored in a server anywhere. So that's all verified on device and then fills in the user's profile. And then everything is its own unique row of data. So your first name is separate from your last name, is separate from your age, is separate from your address. And now you can choose if you want to share that your ID has been verified, but share nothing about that verification information, or you can choose to share your age, or you can choose to share your first name, but not your last name. So you have like this custom control of how much you want to share with the person and request and vice versa. So there's a lot of consent and sovereignty over how information is shared. So you don't have to share everything about yourself before the meeting, just what is required in that scenario. For example, what I want to know about a date might be different than if I was a real estate agent, what I wanted to know about the person coming to the showing, right? So you have a lot of customization on that. You can also verify your social media, so your Facebook and your LinkedIn. So you can be like, hey, this is really me that has the LinkedIn, and this is really me that has the Facebook. And then we'll be able to kind of turn lots of things into verified credentials. Like if you had some type of a certification, like being a part of a real estate board, or if it was like some type of like aesthetic certification, like I'm a certified hairdresser, makeup artist, eyelash, whatever. You could use that as a verified credential as well. But right now it's ID and social media. And also, when you start meeting with people, or you start actually, meeting people in person, they get a push notification.
One thing that I would actually, I'll sneak back in.
Sure.
I think one of the things that, and this is just my 2 cents, right? And everyone's like, just, I hate to, I sometimes come across as critical. I don't mean to be critical. Since you gave 3 or 4 different stories, as the examples, I think one of the ways of getting into people's minds even faster would be to just pick up that one of the stories. And as you're using the examples to play, to kind of give Jeff examples, like I would actually have that one storyline, and go heavy on it. And I hope you don't mind me just playing in, but I get the nose trust situation where I got to, especially since I do all this work across the world.
Yeah.
I have no freaking idea if the person who just introduced, just saw me speak, as an example, last week I was on the stage in Sarajevo in the middle of the Balkans. And there's people I want to do business with, but there's also people that were sitting there that were like, handed my name off to some Russian frickin' hacker And so, yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I have no idea. And here in part of my role, especially, my role is I'm this super connector around the world, just wanting to connect all you people to the right place, right? And so
Yeah.
I totally get it. I would give us one story because then, even though none of us might be real estate people, and some of you guys might all be real estate people, you can give me a real estate scenario, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, I see how that would work.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That
I
might
mean,
simplify things a little bit,
I
but go ahead.
second that.
here's what I found a lot in the flow of these conversations. I'm like, hey, I launched this system for people to use if they're meeting up with a stranger on the internet. Like, oh, so it's a dating app? And it's like, no, it's not a dating app. You can use it for dating, but like you can also use it for real estate, or people are using it for gig work. People are using it for, and then they can start to project their own sort of need of it. But my go-to-market strategy is really focusing on those folks who are using social media to advertise for business. So real estate and gig work and models, photographers, et cetera.
Yeah, well, as an example, one of the, where did Facebook start, right? It started just at Harvard and then the Ivy
Yeah.
League. Now there's a story as well. Well, I mean, you're talking about group forming networks, right? In group forming networks, the powerful thing about them is that they're like markets beyond markets because they're group forming networks.
Yeah.
The main thing is when we tell the story about Facebook starting at Harvard and then going to the Ivy League, then going to all the colleges, then going to our minds can kind of get wrapped around it a little bit easier. Same thing about now the story about eBay, which I've been told is not true, but Pierre Omidyar's girlfriend, what was she trying to do? Supposedly the story is she wanted to sell Pez dispensers. And
Okay.
you can tell me all the different Pez dispenser stories. But I find, so I've always been this visionary technologist, that I'm like, hey guys, e-commerce, it's going to be big. I
Mhm.
was talking about for 5 years and, here in Austin, and people were like, dude, I'm never going
Yeah.
to do that. I mean, this is a 25-year-old story, but it wasn't until Dell had gotten to the first $1 billion of sales on my software that actually someone started really paying attention to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear what you're saying in my scenario too, because I'm like, no, this is like a decentralized peer-to-peer network that uses zero knowledge proofs that are going to support proof of personhood on the internet. And that sounds like too
Yeah,
much jargon for regular people,
it's
but
too much
that's really
jargon.
the vision. Yeah.
Where it's just like, hey, I have real estate transaction, like as an example, and this is a real example. About 3 weeks ago, we supported 10 real estate executives from Austin, Texas, from the Austin Board of Realtors to go to a conference in Chihuahua, Mexico, where there's real estate there.
Yeah.
And they want to enable transactions. And the problem with, the Mexican style of securing a transaction and American style of securing a transaction, radically different.
Yeah.
And so the thing, like if you just gave, okay, we're going to support cross-border real estate stuff, and then I would have people come to you, and I
Mhm.
do this other stuff. Well, yeah, do you have money?
Yeah.
But then, like right now, you could actually go to a channel partner, like which, like the Austin Board of Realtors,
Yeah.
say, hey, this is a thing that right now, what you were just doing with that delegation, 3 weeks ago, we could actually help you securitize.
Yeah. So
Um,
yes, that's why that bridge capital so I can start actually securing those more professional organizations would be like existentially meaningful right now.
yeah, it sounds good. What I would suggest on that, and then if you don't mind, what will bounce around, make sure you put your link to your LinkedIn. Actually, it's an all swim for everybody. I would suggest that everyone put their link to LinkedIn, kind of like we've seen with Everett, and I think someone else did it a while ago too. Go ahead and throw that out there, or even better would be for you to throw out one of these links that is from your site as well, if you have one that you can share. I don't mind you like taking advantage of creating some connections like that as well here. Although the base level for everyone, I would suggest doing LinkedIn, just because it's a way that y'all can go ahead and create some connectivity. But I would actually suggest doing that. And there's probably like one or two people out of a group this size that's going to move forward with you. All right, there she is. Candace is there.
And I'll
What I
send
would,
a link to my website too. Yeah.
yeah, and the main thing is I would part of the thing that we want to do now is I think there's a little bit of traction about the idea. If you think that my real estate example is interesting, the best thing to do would be to forward to me an email. And I'll put my email in a second there. To just, because it's interesting to think about how to secure stuff, especially cross-border. Cross-border stuff right now is still the Wild West.
Yeah. Cool. Hey, listen, thanks for the conversation. I appreciate everyone listening, truly.
Now, I got another question for you, and I want to ask you and Cassie about this. I noticed that we only have 2 women here, and I've always been happy. In the past, Tech Ranch would be like our entrepreneur programs would usually have 40% women, 60% men. One of the things before I forget that I'd like your feedback, Cassie, and I'd like your feedback, Candace, is how do we get, more women into the conversation so that they can take advantage of the wisdom of the crowd? I would love to have y'all weigh in on that. And even better, I'd love to have a conversation online in the community site about that too, if you're open to that. And if you have an opinion that you'd like to share right now, while my team is here listening in too, I'd appreciate it.
We're just like solving all the problems of the world today, huh, Kevin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
That's what we do every day.
I love it.
What does the pinky in the brain say? It's like, what
Yeah.
are we going to do today? We're going to, take over the world. Now we're going to save the world. Do y'all have any opinions about that? Would you like to share them real quick? Because I would like to make sure that I engender in all the rest of the men that are here a commitment on their behalf to get more women to be in our community together, because we need your perspective.
okay, I have a comment about this. It might be a little bit on the philosophical side, but okay, so there is like this natural desire often for women to they want to step in and solve these really challenging social problems. I spent my entire career working in things like human rights and philanthropy for global aid and medical research, and then I started using technology in business to come up with new models and approaches to solving big complex existential human problems through technology, through blockchain, through crypto, through money. And I'm getting like a cognitive dissonance where I hear in all of these conferences, we're looking for new models. We need to put people first. We need to solve problems. We need to support women. But then like the venture model, or like the model that can actually drive these forward, don't exist because they're like, we don't know how to actually fund a new model. We don't know how to actually put impact into our metrics. And so I feel like people are a little like, there's a little bit of a disconnect between us existentially knowing these are the types of initiatives we need to be supporting, but then how do we actually have the mechanisms to push those forward? So as a woman who's trying to solve a social problem, and then I'm approaching the gatekeeping of patriarchy and money, and then I'm constantly like, okay, this is what we're looking for. Okay, well, this is what I am, but then it's still not, but I'm still facing challenges. And I can find that a little discouraging and like even like a little degrading at times.
I can understand. Thank you for sharing perspective. Is there anything you'd like to make a request on this line from the rest of the people in the group right now?
No, I mean, I already am getting a lot out of the conversation, but that's like my honest answer. And it's not me trying to be negative. It's just me.
No.
Yeah.
And it's okay. You can say, I'm sick of this fucking shit. Goddamn, I'm not going to take it anymore. And that's perfectly acceptable as well. I mean, I want to make sure I create space for your intellect, your innovation, but also your anger.
Yeah. But it's like, if you want to invite me as a woman to participate in these types of systems, then you have to trust me to execute it the way that I'm meant to, and not like try to then micromanage exactly how I'm executing as well. Right.
Got it. Agreed.
Yeah.
So no mansplaining.
Cassie, what about you? I'm going to put you on the spot as well. I'd like to get your voice, because I have an intent about this. If you knew the origin story behind Tech Ranch, go ahead.
Yeah, I think, well, systemic to start, but that's too big of a problem for us to tackle today. I think that the biggest communities I'm connected in are in Austin and then in Boston in the biotech scene. And the thing that I'll just speak for myself, I'm looking at is why. Kevin, you just talked about how valuable time is. What I'm looking at is why should I be part of this group? Why should I go to this meetup? And I will tell you, I think most of the meetups in Austin are shit. Like, give me a good use of my time. Don't have the same format every day where it's everyone just giving their pitch. But like, let's actually be creative and give a little bit of structure, let people find a way to feel like they're contributing, which Kevin, you do a great job. You're doing that with us right now. But it's really about how do we feel connected? Sometimes the communities are too big. So it's easy to not feel connected, and also think like, what would the value of me giving up an hour of my time be for this, or joining yet another community when I've got all these others? The other bigger elephant in the room for me, I see, is lack of mentoring. We just chatted about when women get to the funding tables and the rooms pitching to VCs. I think everything she just said is exactly true. Fundraising, communication, branding is my expertise. So how do we help each other before we get there? And I think the bigger elephant in the room is everything is so quid pro quo, and it's because of money. You don't have money, everyone's looking to get in on a deal. What's in it for me? Maybe I'll help you if you can, slice off part of that deal for me. I just haven't really seen a space where there aren't those expectations of what's in it for me versus, let's actually talk. Let me give you 10 minutes of my time and tell you my experience, and here's some problems that your solution might be a good fit for. I think it really comes down to focus, which I don't feel like I just did well. My little rant.
Well, and no, it's okay to rant. Part of the thing that we want to do is like, I would like to see with this just, 1 hour a month or every 6 weeks I miss these kind of interactions. Like in olden times, for those of you all that don't know about it, we do something called a campfire. PJ was there a lot of times. We'd have like, we do something called a campfire where, there'd be 100 people in the room. We did them every 2 weeks on Fridays. We'd pour some wine and it would be a community conversation. Now, during COVID, we started doing, like, I really missed being connected to the community where we'd have a community conversation. And so I'm wanting to bring these back. We've got this whole webinar series that we're doing. And I said, wait, fuck the webinars. Let's have the community have, because I don't see anyone else having these kind of conversations, and I miss this. I would almost consider opening up a co-working place again. No, don't worry, I'm not going to do it. Because, writing those, $30,000 rent checks every month, especially when we'd have people, not be able to pay their rent, to me kind of really sucked. But that being said, I think with this, we can actually start having this intent of having these conversations and being kind of bold about it. I would like to make sure that we call out to when we ask women this question, like each one of us has something that we might be hiding right now from the game. And it really sucks in entrepreneurial culture that we do this. This is why so many entrepreneurs hit the wall and fail. Mm-hmm. And so part of it is, it's not even about women. It's about, why don't we just be who we're supposed to be? Mm-hmm. There's a psychologist that says, what I am, or his seminal quote was, what I am is good enough if I would just be so openly. What that means is, part of the idea about just, being able to share and then connect around that. And then we can build ventures faster if we can get to that. So Candice and Cassie, I'll follow up with you myself. Candice, I don't know if I have your contact information. Cassie, I definitely do. And the thing you and I talked about operationalizing even more of the coaching deals, we need to talk about. I've been recruiting Ozzy to the team and he's now almost formally into the team. He's actually in the room with me right now too. We'll hear from him in a second. That's my 5-minute warning for you, so you can say something profound. The main thing about it is I would like to discover that together. And part of what my intent is that when we do another one of these in a few weeks, that we follow up in the same style. Any words
Sounds
before
good.
we switch gears on you guys again about that?
No, thanks for the question. Appreciate it.
Good. Thank you. Emma, send an email from you to me and Candace based on the email address that's there, if you would, please.
Copy that.
The whole secret to why Tech Ranch is working right now is Emma. If you don't know who she is, you should know who she is. She started out as my assistant. She's been managing through that and is now one of our program directors. She manages our Japanese program as well as the Chihuahua program. So take care of Emma. It's Emma's birthday next week. So if you do a shout out, happy birthday, Emma, early, it would be greatly appreciated because I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now with any of the Tech Ranch without her being here. So make sure you write in at least the chat, if not a shout out, happy birthday. Yeah, thank you, Mappy. Who would like to go next? Shout out, name, elevator pitch, request to this group. Karan, since I know very
I
little
can
about
do.
you,
Yeah,
and you
I'll
just came
go.
off
Yeah.
of you. Yeah, please.
Hey guys. So my name's Karen. I'm 31 years old, originally from the UK. Moved out here with my previous employer of 8 years, basically to help them set up a US entity here in Austin, Texas. So that was about 3 years ago. The plan really was to be here, for a few years, move back to the UK. Naturally met my wife, adopted a dog, and decided to stay out here. And and now this year we've just kind of decided to set up our own business called Prime ERP Solutions. So to give you some context, my background is in tech staffing pertaining to the ERP, various ERP industries, so the likes of NetSuite, Sage Intacct, Acumatica, ecosystems. And my role in my previous job was to basically help my clients to grow through effective hiring of specific talent that they need at any one given time. So typically, I would source for consultants, solution architects, PMs, developers, really just what it is they are looking for at any one time to be able to staff their projects and make their timelines. Decided to take that plunge, really, I guess. This year was really kind of thinking of doing it for a long time because my previous employer didn't really give me any tools to be able to do this job. The service I provided effectively was just from the network I'd built over an 8-year period. So it just felt like I was doing all of this work for getting a small piece of the pie, so to speak. So decided back in September of this year, so only about 2 months ago now, to leave my role, set up my new company, and to basically do the same thing I was doing, but myself. So far, it's going great. I mean, we signed 10 clients through the first 2 months, done a couple placements already, and have a bunch of ongoing interview processes at this time. I think the main reason I was interested in joining this chat was because a lot of my success has been as an individual contributor. So the actual kind of scaling of business aspect of it is something that I'm pretty green in. It's something that I haven't really, whilst I've managed teams and grew teams, I guess, at my previous employer, it's a little bit different when it comes to actually establishing yourself in a whole new tech ecosystem as you look to grow the business. And I just, at this time, have not had the bandwidth or the connections in the right places to be able to think about how I could then take this business that I've got, which has a pretty solid foundation in terms of revenue, to then a next step of exploring other tech ecosystems and be able to kind of grow the business outside of where I specialize. So that's a little bit about me. If you need any kind of clarity on anything I've said
No,
there.
no, let's do this. Let's get a reaction. So there might be there are other people in the room that I think are better scaling experts than me. I'm a like let's focus on early adopters kind of guy, and so I always will focus on that, just because that's who I am. Do you guys that know how to scale stuff? Who wants to respond and or inquire deeper questions?
I'll
Jay,
contribute.
go
I have a
ahead.
contribution. So the thing that when you're beginning a venture that's mostly is it fair for me to say that this is mostly a services business rather than a
Yes,
product? Yeah.
that's correct. Yeah.
So I've done what you're trying to do, and scaling is hard, especially when you're just one person and you're trying to find new customers for it. What I have found is having a white label solution, a way that you can sort of like, I guess what I would just say is take advantage of other people's greed and your skills at the same time. Um, Greed is good, I guess, in when you're trying to get from 0 to 1 or try to make your first $1 million in a services business. Um, Ultimately, though, the ability to scale, I've been beating my head against that wall for a long time. Uh, Scaling is limited with white label, but it is a necessary like survival tool to get through what we would call the valley of death. Um, uh, White labeling makes a big difference. Ultimately, what I believe that people in the services industry are selling, and this is what I followed myself, is you're selling a package and you're selling a process. So the sooner you can figure out what your package is, and then for process, I guess I just sort of thumbnail it for a lot of people. Everybody has a 4-step process. There's the research, the planning, the design, and the implementation. If you've got all 4 of those figured out, there is and can frame a white label program effectively. That's the best advice I could give for somebody trying to make it through their first year as in a services company. Is that helpful for you?
Say a little
Absolutely.
bit more. Let me just go ahead and ask, especially since we have a number of people that are from outside of the country that are represented. At least there's at least what 5 other countries represented here. What do you mean by white labeling?
Was that you would like me to answer that? I'm fine to answer
Right.
that.
Claro que sí, como no.
Yeah. So white label is it's an American term, I guess. I don't know how common it is in other places, but essentially, I have my identity. I have my company's identity, my agency, and there are other companies out there who are perhaps larger than me, with a bigger reach than me, with a broader range of offerings than me, but they're not able to do what I do as effectively. As I said, there's like 4 parts to it. It's hard. Not every company is going to be able to do all 4 things effectively, but they all want to make money. They all want to find new revenue out of their existing network. So white labeling is like me saying, I'll pretend to be a part of your company as long as you pay me reliably, and that's an important part, because it has to win for both sides. I guess the easiest way that I would say white labeling is if I show up in a meeting with a tech group, let's say, and in the old school, we would walk into a boardroom, and you would hope that everybody is wearing a T-shirt with the same logo on it. And I say, I'm a medium because I will walk into a room and wear a shirt with your logo on it, especially if it will benefit my company in the short term and the long term. So white labeling means that I set aside my label as a company long enough to adopt your label as a company in return for a financial consideration, for a market consideration. Is that how'd I do, Kevin?
Yeah,
Does that sound about right?
I think that's good. And the other way of on the other side is the key idea that I hear in what PJ is saying is having a channel partner that that's already talking to the customers I want to sell to, and just saying, hey partner, here, put me on your menu. put me on your menu and let me be one of the other things that are sold there.
I wear a medium.
That's a good
I'll wear
example.
your shirt.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily the preferred model for my agency. It's not a long-term model, because eventually they will beat up on you for price. They'll beat up but that white label partner. It's got a limited shelf life, because if you are really successful, they'll figure out a way to reverse engineer what you're good at and provide it and keep all the profits. So it's a value. The valley of death is that part where you're like, I just need to get sustainable. I need to get my business model sustainable to a certain point.
Yeah. No, that
Good
makes sense.
example.
That makes sense. I think I guess not necessarily my issue per se, my initial kind of 6 months or so, this next 6 months or so, I have quite a lot of business, really. I have a lot of existing clients that I brought across with me. I didn't have any kind of non-compete or anything like that. So I was able to bring across a lot of clients I've worked with over a 6, 7, 8 year period that give me, sustainable revenue. So that aspect of this is not necessarily something I'm concerned about. It's more about, I feel like, and this is going to sound, I don't know, maybe a bit strange, but I feel like I've been in this specific box for about 7 or 8 years now in a very specific tech industry. And it's great. Don't get me wrong. I can make good money from this over the next year, 18 months or so. But one thing, I guess, that has been bugging me, I guess, a little bit is how do I go outside of this industry? How do I make connections outside of this industry to then elevate the business and think about growth, in terms of headcount, in terms of, tapping into new markets and then revenue. And that's the reason that I joined this, I guess, this group, because I figured,
Let's
people are
let's
gonna
do this. I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. So you posed a question. Let's go ahead and I'm only doing it because we're going to try to keep this to an hour, 10 minutes max for today. Ozzy, you came off of mute a while ago. I know a little bit. Let's do this. Let me why don't we just use this one microphone just for the sake of speed? You should be able to talk from over there. So Ozzy's in the room in the Tech Branch War Room proper. Say something.
Sure. So number one,
Can y'all hear him okay?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, I have been in the human capital operations, business development space. So we can I'll put my email on the chat page, Ron. So I have some thoughts around how do you get into other areas from a staffing perspective, so I can give you some ideas. So I just quickly, I was part of a entrepreneur program 10 years ago. Went through the program. It was, I think, 10 or 11 weeks.
Yeah, he was in Venture Fort 10 years ago. That's so he's an old school guy.
Yeah.
He's trying to lay down that he's an old school guy, just like PJ.
Yeah. So great experience. And then as it turned out, then a few years after that, I ended up being fortunate enough to.
He made a mountain of cash.
Grow, involved in a startup that we were able to grow and scale and exit. So I did an exit a few years ago, and then a few months ago, I thought, hey, what's Kevin up to? So I called Kevin up. I'm also an angel investor, so I was actually initially called him just to say, hey, man, I'm interested in investing. And I knew that Kevin had a plethora of sources, and then one way or another, I ended up deciding that I wanted to be part of the Tech Ranch just because of the empowerment it gives people, just like it gave me a lot of empowerment. When I got a chance to be, grow and scale, a lot of the lessons I learned during the program became real applicable to what I was doing. So we are going to do an angel investor call, which I believe it's a week, but it's today, Thursday, a week from today. And we're going to focus, it's going to be myself, and I think Jeff, I think you're going to be on the call, And there could be some other angels. If any other angels are on here, it'd be great if you guys could be on the call. And we're going to talk a lot about funding because we realize that that's a big factor, right? In terms of, and it'll be Q&A driven. We'll have a few things to talk about, but I think I want to make it, my thoughts are to make it conversational, just kind of like we're talking about now. I think we may cover a couple of things, but anyway, to talk about funding because it's a reality for a lot of folks. So for anyone that's interested specifically in the funding component, we're going to address it because it's just part of the startup phase. So and I was drawn into, again, that empowerment aspect and the part of the community piece. I guess the only other piece of feedback to everyone on here is, as an entrepreneur, I think the worst possible thing as you're starting out is isolation. Does that make sense? Like, isolation is not your friend. And the more that you can connect with others, get feedback, the more you can have folks just like this environment where you can, engage others, and that's really the best environment as an entrepreneur. And so I think that was another component of why I joined Tech Ranch. And but anyway, that's a little bit about myself.
Perfect. Thank you, Ozzy. So one of the things
one
of the things that I would suggest that might be of interest, Karan, is in Ozzy, it'd be great to have that conversation about there's some other things you can actually do in that. If y'all go to the community.techranch.com site and you post that same question, what are the other things that I can actually do to scale? It'd be great to have part of the conversation that's been seeded here there. And so I want to make sure, because there are some other elements that come up that as we're coming to the end of the time, I'd like to make sure that I create space for one more set of questions just from that standpoint. Karen, did you have something you wanted to say?
Kind of lost my train of thought there. And I guess in terms of, what potential next steps would be, I guess the issue, not issue I've got at the minute per se, but it's more like a mentality thing, right? I feel like the day-to-day at the moment is busy and great, but I just can't find the time almost to even have the vision to grow. How do, in the initial stages, because I'm sure all you guys have probably been in similar situations when building businesses, how did you find the
How about
time?
this? If you don't mind, what we'll do is let's take that question as a launching into something online, and then I'm going to create space for just one more person really quick. I also want to make sure I address the question that Russ had asked about this style of interaction. And perhaps that might flush out someone who wants to ask a question along those lines. Is that okay, Karan? Are you on the community site?
I don't believe so, but I can
Go to
join.
techranch.com/connect.
Okay.
And there is going to be a free way to sign on to the community. We're going to be doing some new things for the community, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to make sure they're provoking a little bit of activity over that. And I want to ask, I want to create a little bit of space for one more thing before we close up today. And Jose Luis, since you just came, since you're in Mexico, I'll create space for you to ask the question, but I want to respond to something real quick. When we're doing these type of calls, there's a specific protocol that I would like to follow. So Russ said, hey, don't mean to mansplain, but can we leave some time to focus on breaking into the US market? Okay, thanks, bye. And I said, I responded to that. I want to make sure I say, when we're doing this style of interaction, I am purposely not following an agenda. I'm following the questions. And so instead of, this is not a, Kevin Quine and friends talking about US market entry. That's part of the intent, because we want to make sure that we pull in people who are coming to ask questions about that. But when we do a community conversation, the whole intent is for you guys to say, this is my freaking question. This is different than when we do a webinar. Webinars have agendas that, like, next week is going to be a little bit more about angel investment, knowing that Jeff and Ozzy are going to be leading it. I'll be traveling at the time. They like to respond to questions and stuff like that. So there'll be some element of that. But in a community conversation, one of the things that when we call for this again, like in 4 to 6 weeks, whenever we do it next, the thing I want to make sure that I say is I really want to make sure this is driven by you guys, not by what I think you need, or not by one of our angels or, think you need. So now that being said, since Jose Luis is in Juarez, Ciudad Juarez, and since he's about to do some interesting transactions, let's and he's off of mute, which that signals to me that he's wants to ask a question.
Sure.
Please, por favor, dímelo por
Okay, thank you, Kevin. So actually, I already moved to the US. I'm living in El Paso, Texas now, and I just closed operations in Juarez, and I'm opening in El Paso. And my company is set up in Denver, Colorado since 2009. So I was always kind with one foot in each country. But anyways, so my name is Jose Luis Lasso. I develop industrial automation and robotics. I've been developing very sophisticated and important technology for the local maquiladora industry for 20 years now. And through those years of experience, I learned about the characteristics more valuable to a controlling system. So we developed one, and we currently are getting into production. The only thing we need is investment. So my request is for an investor, smart money is better for us, like an angel investor, but we are ready for Series A shares. And it's I think if I can share one slide or two, is that okay?
Está bien conmigo.
Okay.
I said it, that's okay with me for those of y'all that don't speak Spanish.
Okay. So let me see. Okay, so just to make sure you're seeing on a slide that says
we're
the
seeing the slide.
deterministic PLC. Okay. So that's our product. It's a controller that combines different aspects of systems being used currently on the industry. So it reduces the component count and complexity for installation and development as well as maintenance. And of course, it gives a lot more value because of quite different technological advantages. So the actual status on the development for us is that we have 3 different models. The TRL or readiness is different for every one of them. The first model is ready for production. The second model is on TRL 4, and the tier 1, the artificial intelligence one, is TRL 2. And the advantages of that specific model, the AI, are huge for the industry. So I guess my request would be, what is the best way to approach to anyone interested on investing on this opportunity? I do have already revenue projections, and a lot of information is from our own business, and so it's quite solid. So the likely scenario is very easy to achieve, and then the aggressive scenario is very, very good financially speaking. So that's pretty much what I have.
All right, so Russ just said in the email your deck. He'll share his email right there. The key thing too is I would make sure if you had like 3 slides that you talk about. My immediate feedback is 1 slide on the product, 1 slide on the traction you already have. Would be really great to see. I see part of that, but I since you and I have interacted a little bit more, then you. I know it's a little bit about your ventures, what I'm trying to say. Talk about some of the success you've already had.
Oh, well, so we've been active since 1996, as I was telling you, and on the bottom line here, on the timeline at the bottom, I mentioned a few. I think the most relevant projects we've developed. So we have developed assembly lines for transmission range sensors for the automotive industry, for throttle position sensors, for smart remote actuators, for diesel engines and other things. We specialize on laser welding for plastics. We had to develop a lot of things. These processes are very sophisticated, and we even develop optics for those. And so we learn a lot. We have used different type of robotics, from SCADA robots to articulated ones. And then we learn how to integrate for test and calibration. So all those specific features are integrated into, or at least the desirable ones are integrated into our product. And that's been our trajectory. So the other things I talk about on this executive presentation is the complexity that is required for a solution to be developed. And it requires a lot of systems, and
Thanks,
it
Jeff.
increases cost.
Jose Luis, it looks like we're up against people dropping out, but I want to make sure that I ask you one more question, and then what we'll do is a wrap. And I'm going to invite you to come back next week when I won't be here, but Ozzy and a couple of angels, probably Jeff. I actually don't know. Emma can tell me who's. Ozzy will actually be leading a session to just to go into more depth on investment, and it'd be great to go into more details. But the one thing that I haven't heard in your story yet that I think is important to, like, since I'm the talent agent, you're the talent. My question for you is, what's changed? You got quite a lot of history. What's changed? Why is it that now you're going from the business that you had to going after this investment and stuff like that? I think that part of your story
Well,
would be interesting.
it's been part of the plan since 2011. And the reason why is that we're transitioning from service to product. And and the reason is scalability. So service is limited to your local range, no matter what, and it's been proven again and again through the last 3 decades, I would say, that I've been watching this. And most of the automation companies growing, they ended up on bankruptcy or almost bankruptcy, and that's because of this phenomenon. So the lesson we learned from that is that if we wanted to scale our company, we would have to move into the products. And the other thing to look at it is that, or the other way to look at it is that a company that produces controllers like ours, the smallest one, even with PD products that are very low end, ours is like way beyond them. They are larger than the largest automation making company locally, or regionally. So that's why we are moving to a different market.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay, so that tells the story about. Okay, and I'm sorry to cut you off. It's just more of to kind of just help take parts of your story, make them visible to other people here that might even be interested in investing.
Can I add one thing? So, if you're able to get on that call next week, I mean, the company I was involved in, we went through VC funding, and I think when we talk about on the call, even though I mentioned the angel investing side, I think there's things we can talk about as far as, what are some of the criteria or the things that would be beneficial in terms of obtaining VC funding. So I think it'll be part of the conversation next week as well. So
yeah, that would be great to have you guys coordinate. Now, that being said, Jose Luis, in the chat session, just so if anyone wants to follow up with you, could you give them either a LinkedIn or an email address or something like that, just so we can empower?
Yes, I think I submitted it right here.
Yeah. Just go ahead and put it in there again, just so it's there.
Yeah.
Okay,
there you
perfect. Go. Yeah, thank you very much. What we're gonna do is this. We just really got started, But the thing that I know that if I do my best to keep this to an hour-ish, the likeliness that you guys will come back the next time goes way up for specifically this type of community conversation. And the thing about it is the wisdom of the crowd is the most powerful thing that we can unleash without spending money for a group of people. Part of what I'd like to do is I'd like to say, hey, great to see you guys all here. Gabriel, hey, you're late. Ay, pobrecito de mí. The main thing, yeah, and I'll follow up with you about other stuff that I want to talk to you about. But what we'll do is well, I would like to every 4 to 6 weeks, I'd like to have a community conversation like that, like this, because it inverts the normal broadcast kind of style. And I really, really crave this because I miss the way that we interacted in the past. Those of y'all that have been involved in Tech Ranch for a long time, like PJ, Ozzy, you guys know, and Sam, even you've seen it where we can actually shift things, right? We can shift, and it's about the community. It's not about the freaking guy at the front of the room. I cannot stand the type of events, to back what Candace was saying. I can't stand the events where you walk into the room and the guy at the front of the room is like, here, kiss my ring, and then I'll lay knowledge upon you. I fucking hate that. So the thing that we'll do is we'll do more of these. I'd love to have your feedback. You can always send me messages. Here's, either send it to me via email, which there's my email address. If you get our newsletter and you get an email from CEO@techranchaustin.com, that actually is a shared mailbox where, when I send out the news, when Paloma sends out the newsletter, we get literally, 30 to 50 responses to the newsletters. So a lot of times I have shared access to that, but this is the one that I read every day. So you can actually send me notes and stuff like that. You're welcome to also do voice notes if you want to follow up on part of this. Since I have a travel schedule that's a little bit unmanageable at times, this is how it says kevincohen.com/Vox. That'll point you to an application called Voxer. I do a lot of interactions like that as well. I'd love to hear it. I'm about to switch over to Carbon Voice. Don't worry about it. The main idea about it is, and you guys could use this as well, is because we're not in the same physical point of presence, it's really hard to have the water cooler conversation. And so the truth is, I sold the co-working space because one physical space was limiting what I thought was possible. And now that we've done projects from here to Uzbekistan, I know it to be true. So if you want to have that water cooler conversation with me or something like that, this is a great way of doing it. If there's something that's urgent, you can actually, you can reach out to me. I'm not saying that I won't do meetings and all that sort of stuff. I'm just saying part of what I'm wanting you to do, at some point we'll have my coach come on. Tony Robbins calls Ari Messel the most productive man in the world. He's been my coach for several years. I'm following some of his lead, and you'll see that on that other link. All right, that's only to say ways for us to interact. And part of what we'll do is we'll bring back this style of interaction as one of the tools in the toolbox for the community. Coming out of this the session today, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. On the follow-ups, like I asked Karan to actually make sure that he did a post into the request channel online. Get onto the community site. You do not have to actually do anything other than sign up for free. There's some paid areas, but the part that I'm really wanting to tease out right now is available to you for free. And make sure you sign up so we can have follow-up about that. And then what we'll do is we'll do some follow-up things. We'll do some follow-up things out of this to do other activities. Let's see. Greg had just said, thank you all. I heard some nice thoughts. Getting to know the USA, not domestic culture, is essential for us to do next steps as efficiently as can. Kevin, thank you. Cheers. Great to see you, Greg. And then PJ, if I understand right, you're a medium-sized T-shirt. We wish to send you one. Yeah, definitely. You should see what Greg has got. He's got a physical therapy tool that one of our coaches, Doug Bain, is actually helping him get into the U.S. healthcare process. They've got some really interesting stuff, and they've got a lot of insight because I think they have more than 40% of the Slovenia market and the Balkans. So thanks for being here, Grega. With that, let's go change the world for the better together. Make sure that you grab those URLs, and we'll do this again in this style sometime very soon. Get onto the community site. We'll announce it there, and also on the newsletter. We'll announce it there as well. Thank you all. And next week, 11 o'clock Texas time, there will be a investor-led conversation. Ozzy's definitely there. I think Jeff will be there. We might have a couple of the other investors like Russ back as well to ask your follow-on questions. Share this information with other people too. They're free webinars. And then if there's some topic that you're like, damn it, Kevin, that's great what you did today, but what I really want to hear is X, you can just tell us. Yeah, you can tell me, you can tell us, and that'd be great. Let's see, forgot it's a different time here in the board and just realized, yeah, I know we've got to figure out how to normalize all that sort of stuff. The daylight savings time is a mess. So sorry to miss you, Gabrielle. We'll follow up and we'll put you on the hot seat again soon. All right, y'all take care, and we'll see each other next week. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Cap.